Evan Blackstone had always been a dreamer. Growing up in Dallas, Texas, he spent countless hours sketching ideas in a worn leather notebook, dreaming of the day he'd build something the world couldn't ignore. By his late 20s, he turned that ambition into action, launching a software company called Verge Dynamics. His mission was simple yet bold, to create a revolutionary productivity tool. In those early days, Evan was hungry to make his mark. But with that hunger came an all-consuming need for validation. After pitching his idea to potential investors or networking at events, he'd spend hours analyzing how many likes his LinkedIn posts received or obsessing over whether he'd said the right things during his meetings. One night, while scrolling endlessly through social media, Evan's mentor, Sarah Daniels, called him out. "Evan, are you working for applause or results?" she asked. Her words were a gut punch, but they struck a chord. Evan realized he had spent more time chasing approval than building his product. Determined to change, he deleted his social media apps, turned his focus inward, and poured his energy into refining Verge Dynamics. It wasn't easy. His ego protested every step of the way, craving the quick hit of external validation. But slowly, his idea came to life. Within a year, Verge Dynamics was ready for launch, and its success was instant. As the years passed, Evan's company became a household name in tech circles. He was featured on magazine covers, gave keynote speeches, and was hailed as one of the brightest young entrepreneurs in America. The attention was intoxicating, and Evan couldn't help but believe his success wasn't just earned, it was destined. So when an opportunity arose to invest in a luxury real estate development, Evan jumped at it without hesitation. He skipped the due diligence process, convinced that his golden touch would extend to any venture. The project failed spectacularly. The losses were massive, and for the first time in his career, Evan's confidence was shaken. Seeking solace, he took a trip to the Grand Canyon. Standing at the edge of the vast expanse, he was struck by the sheer immensity of the world. For the first time in years, he felt small. It was humbling, but it was exactly what he needed. He vowed to surround himself with mentors and experts moving forward, people who could challenge his assumptions and keep his ego in check. But the hardest challenge came when Verge Dynamics faced a market downturn. Competitors had caught up, and internal mistakes began to pile up. Investors, concerned about the company's future, demanded Evan step aside as CEO to let someone else lead the turnaround. Evan's ego roared in protest. How could he step down from the company he had built with his own two hands? Instead of gracefully transitioning to an advisory role, as the board had suggested, Evan fought back. He burned bridges with his leadership team, filed lawsuits, and turned Verge Dynamics into a battlefield. It wasn't until his best friend, Mark, sat him down for an intervention that Evan began to see the damage he had caused. "Evan, do you want your legacy to be about the empire you built or the one you destroyed?" Mark's words stayed with him long after the conversation ended. Evan finally withdrew his lawsuits and stepped aside, but the damage was done. Verge Dynamics struggled to recover, and Evan was left grappling with the consequences of his actions. Seeking redemption, he began mentoring young entrepreneurs, sharing his hard-earned lessons about ambition, failure, and the dangers of ego. Through mentoring, Evan found healing. Teaching others forced him to confront his own failures objectively, and he began to see them not as endings but as stepping stones. He eventually founded a nonprofit that trained underprivileged youth in technology, channeling his passion into a cause bigger than himself. Years later, Evan's story became a legend in entrepreneurial circles, a cautionary tale of ambition, hubris, and redemption. He often spoke of his journey at conferences, reminding audiences of the lesson he had learned the hard way. Success, he would say, isn't about beating others. It's about beating your ego. Because the moment you think you're bigger than the work, you've already lost. And with those words, Evan Blackstone became not just a successful entrepreneur, but a beacon of wisdom for those who followed in his footsteps. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to support the channel by subscribing.